Mark, it was great to see the film,
Thank you.
and thanks to Colin Wolford,
Mm.
um, also known as Colon Woollyford, and you have to talk to him about why he's called Colon Woollyford, as
Okay.
in a medical part of the body. There's a whole story about that, and don't mention the alien autopsy.
Okay, I
I
won't
told you
mention
not to mention it.
it. Okay. Okay.
So there's a whole history behind that.
Mm.
Um, okay, I felt that the film was absolutely fantastic, taking my UFO anorak off,
Mm.
because you well know that the UFO people never argue amongst each other, and we're all a happy family. But tell
Yeah.
us how the whole film came about, and I mean,
Mm.
what is the film for a start, and what brought you to making it, and the whole background.
Sure. Well, the film is called The King of UFOs, about the royal family's interest in the subject. And initially got the idea after speaking with John Hanson. He's an ex-CID police officer, has written several books on UFOs, his Haunted Sky series, and I went to visit him, and he showed me some letters he'd received from the Queen and Prince Philip, and that just kind of piqued my interest, and we had a conversation about, how the royal family were, actively into crop circles and UFOs, which I kind of never knew really. And, I've been investigating UFOs for about 30 years, but I guess my background as a musician and now filmmaker. And I guess I wanted to make an accessible film, really, not for, like you say, UFO anoraks, but for the general public, because I basically want people in this country to take UFOs and the subject more seriously. And, if they knew that the royal family took them seriously, then maybe they would have another look. So that was the idea behind the film. It's not, like you say, a detailed, in-depth analysis of everything. It is an introduction to the subject, and that's how I approached it.
Well, I think that's an excellent idea because let's put it this way: BBC and all that other
Mm.
lot
Mm.
have done a very good job to completely make the whole thing
Mm.
a bit of a joke.
You are right there, absolutely. I mean, I've just made a new film about the Rendlesham case. Uh, I'm surprised. I did actually get a little piece yesterday on the BBC website, but I mean, which I'm grateful for. But they've kind of sanitized it quite a lot. I had quite a long interview with a reporter going into disclosure and
Are
cover
you
up.
suggesting that you had a long interview with a reporter who wanted to gain as much information as possible for his MI5 bosses and release
Yeah.
not too much on the BBC itself?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can conjecture that. I did give them
I
a
could
lot
say
of.
that, but you couldn't possibly comment.
No, but I'm not going to comment. But I did give them a lot of information, what's going on, and facts and evidence. Uh, but they chose not to print that. They just printed a.
Well, let's leave Rendlesham until
Sure.
later. Let's
Mm,
get into the film because you
mm,
really did interview some pretty hot kickers, high kickers like Mellon,
mm,
and he's got a background in the UAP thing. But I'd like to see how you put the whole thing together
mm.
and what reasons you put it together in the way you did.
Well, it was just really splitting it into a couple of sections. Really, it was going into the history and the chronology of it all. I guess starting with Lord Mountbatten's interest and the alleged landing at his estate.
Now,
Uh,
I think it's worth putting
mm,
his status. He was in the Navy, wasn't he?
yeah, yeah, he was yeah, basically an admiral. Yeah, he was for a brief time head of the Navy, and some suggested that he had. Well, John Hanson said that whilst he was at sea, he had various UAP, USO sightings, which he logged, which kind of started his interest. Uh, so he was massively interested in the subject from day
I
one.
mean, we're talking about the senior service here, not this upstart of a service called the RAF.
Yeah.
There's an important hierarchy there, which is why I'm mentioning it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and then how his interest then fed on to Prince Philip, who had a close relationship with him. And I guess Prince Philip was the one that was getting quite a lot of information from the sidelines through his equerry. There had to be
Now,
political
I'm going to put my media hat on here.
job.
There's obviously quite a strict way that the royals are portrayed, and who manages that, and why certain things are released. Do you think that because he wasn't the king, at Mountbatten, he was able to do certain things and information released about his interest in a particular way that, for instance, maybe the king wouldn't have been able to have it released?
Yeah, that's a really good point. You're quite right. Cause
I mean, there's information managed very strictly.
So who do you suggest is managing that information? Who's in charge?
Well, the whole, I think there's been quite a lot done on how the modern monarchy has relaunched the monarchy. I mean, the whole way and pageantry and the whole thing was managed in order how they were portrayed to the public. So I'm suggesting that there's two ways of disclosing things. The way the MOD seems to work is it will tell you something on the basis that you expect. They will expect a certain answer that you will respond to that. But maybe I'm focused on UFOs, no defense significance. I'm speaking on that. I'm talking about that. So Nick Pope, I used to be one of his fans. I used to write letters to him in the MOD.
Sure.
That's a bit of a joke thing, but the point is, they would give you an answer. I think Yes Minister and the House of Cards series give you a good insight into how things are spun and how things are spoken without lying.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It is all smoke and mirrors.
So, for instance, UFOs have no defense significance, so everybody sits back, oh, that's good. Oh, they're okay, we're safe, you know. But I have another view on that, but I don't want to bring that in on this. But so what I'm thinking of is the way that this film that you've made it has got maybe a certain amount of assistance with putting together this way, and the way that you've led up to, obviously, our king today, and you standing outside Buckingham Palace.
Sure.
Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that whole way that you did that was very well done.
Okay,
So bring in one of the junior non-essential royals, i.e., even though he's top guy and all of, I think he was whatever, and he can have an interest in UFOs, but the king obviously doesn't. But maybe because Lord Mountbatten had it, well, maybe the king might be able to have a little bit of a chat over Sunday lunch or something. But I mean, it's a way of not directly involving things, but involving things.
Yeah, I got you. That was a kind of conscious decision on my part, I guess, to do it that way. But also, you know, it was, at the end of the day, it was entertainment as well as to make it film.
No, absolutely.
Well, no, that's what I've done, and I guess a lot of people don't like that because it's not highbrow UFO stuff, is it? I guess.
No, but that's why I think that you've done such a good job. Because it's not going to appeal to the anoraks, or I mean, it will appeal them. There's some very nice people there.
Yeah, it will, yeah.
But I'd like to see how continue, but more about how this whole came about and how you felt when you're going out to see people. But you got access to is it this Mellon guy from the States? Did you film that here or?
No, that was on Zoom.
I like the way that you did the Zooms.
Yeah, no, but because we got a studio here in St Albans, and we actually fed the Zoom signal through an old analog TV, and what you see is fed in. Someone stood at the back of the TV monitor, making sure the wires stay in. So that was all kind of real. It wasn't green screened or anything.
I think that worked. That whole thing. I mean, that whole way you did it was. But continue. I want to see how this was all made in your own mind and how it came about.
I guess, I mean, it just kind of, it was an interesting, I guess, a lot of people don't like that because it's not highbrow UFO stuff, is it? I guess a lot of people don't like that because it's not highbrow UFO stuff, is it? I guess, I mean, it just kind of, it was an interesting, I guess, adventure, I guess. I mean, I give a lot of credit. I said it before to John Hanson, really. He was having these letters and then reading his various books that kind of led me on to the various episodes that then Mountbatten had, and then Prince Philip and his
Well,
equerry.
you could mention his series. He has a huge series of books, and I'm very
Mm-hmm.
interested as to where that library was, that UFO library centre place is.
Oh, that's in Stratford upon Avon. It's really, really good. He's got thousands of documented sightings. So it's really interesting archive.
I mean, I'm a schoolboy when I was at Campbell College in Belfast, member of the British Unidentified Flying Objects Research Association, and I was a regional investigations coordinator to the British Unidentified Flying Object Research Association in Northern Ireland. So by the time you've said all that, you've either dropped dead or the audience has fallen apart.
That's before, I guess.
Yes, but I was very frustrated that a lot of their material seemed to just go AWOL. So that there is this resource
Yeah,
for
John has a
UFOs.
lot. John has a lot of the before stuff that was given to him, so he's kept it. So it'd be worth a visit, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of documented sightings from before and various UFO groups around the UK that have donated in files.
So what about this place down in is it Stratford on Avon?
Stratford upon Avon, yeah, that is it. I mean, that's got.
I mean, would you have an address, a website?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
if we go to Haunted Skies, let me find it. It's if you go to his website, I can get Haunted Skies Press. It's
It's an opportunity for people to sort of pick up on things and.
yeah, no, John would be delighted for people. He always likes people coming. So if you go to hauntedskies.co.uk, and it'll tell you where it is. There's even a map of how to get there. So yeah, it's just outside of Stratford upon Avon. So it's hauntedskies.co.uk, and as well as these thousands of documents, sightings, he's also got all the files on the Rendlesham case, which I guess we'll talk about later. But
Well, I think Gary Heseltine has done a really good work on that.
Absolutely.
I think the use of the term non-human is a very, very good description because it doesn't make it extraterrestrial. There's a whole issue there.
Yeah, that's I've recently come across that. So that's, I mean, to me, Rendlesham, something happened there.
There's a heck of a lot happened, and a lot of it hasn't got past the British. My little flag flying is that I interviewed a lot of the local researchers. I mean, there was a shuttle came in there and broke up before the shuttle was officially launched. But I don't want to get bogged down in that case. It's a huge case.
It is a huge case.
And it goes back a lot longer than a lot of people. I think
Definitely
it even goes back to World War II when they first. Anyway, we don't want to get. I want to just focus on the film.
Sure.
I don't. It's a. Whilst we're talking about the film, it's available on.
It's on Amazon Prime, and I'm also going to put it onto DVD as well.
I think that is well worthwhile doing.
Definitely. More things are kept real and physical, better.
Yes, absolutely. Very much so. That's a big... I think people have got to go back to DVDs. I dust them out. I really think that's very important to have that physical thing.
Oh, no, definitely, yeah. It's going to be something we're going to use.
You're going to have it available on Blu-ray, 3D, Ultra, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, going back to the film, it was a journey. It kind of opened my mind a little bit, and I sketched out the chronology of it all, and just looked into what our king now, whether he's taken this on board, and how much is fed down from Mountbatten through his father onto him.
So how did that work? I mean, how did you get? Were you able to talk to the palace in any way and get any insights? Or?
No, not at all. I don't pretend to, but I did write several times, haven't had a response. I mean, I used the correspondence that John Hanson had because he was getting replies from Prince Philip's private secretary, and he's had responses from the king recently as well. So he's the one person.
I mean, are you saying if little Johnny wrote to the king, he'd get an official
Yeah.
response? I mean, was
Yeah.
your a little bit more?
Yeah, he would get a response. I mean, I think maybe because he's an ex-CID police officer, he's got that kind of, what's the word?
Kudos,
respectability, government affability. I don't know how you want to put it, but he's got that kind of, presence, I guess.
I think the fact that we have two British police officers of one rank or another investigating this is a very important factor.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. So that was it. Really utilising John's resources, a lot of it, but then just speaking to various paranormal experts, because I kind of tend to link, and always have done, the two UFOs and the paranormal together.
Well, Steve Mira has done a whole talk on that the whole subdivision of the strange is a flaw. They should be looked in a much wider perspective.
Oh, I quite agree, and there's definitely links between them. And so, speaking to Richard Felix, he was an interesting chap, and he was saying about.
Explain who he is, just so that people who don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a paranormal historian. People know him from a TV show called Most Haunted with Yvette Fielding, which was, entertaining. And Yvette's really nice. I've spoken to her before. Richard kind of was quite serious. He was a bit worried about all the harem scarum involved on Most Haunted and all the screaming and stuff. He doesn't think the paranormal is necessarily a scary thing. It's a real thing. So it's interesting to have his perspective on it, and having the history of royal ghosts and how the royal family lives side by side and at ease with this phenomena. They're not scared by it. It exists. They know it exists.
Well, they do occupy a lot of, shall we say, old buildings with history.
Yeah, and that's what it says. It's like the whole stone tape theory, and how it kind of holds resonant energy and possibly replace it. But what I found was interesting was the royal family was okay au fait with this, and it wasn't anything scary. It was something they lived with. So they've already got an open mind there about anomalous phenomena. I was wondering how that linked into, things like crop circles and UFOs, which it did. So,
well, of course, we also have the 60th anniversary of the Warminster thing.
Yeah.
Were you ever connected with that sort of? I mean, a lot of people. It's 2 generations ago.
Not me personally, but my co-presenter on the film and producer, Guy Thompson, he grew up in Warminster, and he had his own experience, UFO, alien type experience at Warminster when he was a child. So that's the connection there.
Because the coincidence with that showing was that both myself and a rather glamorous lady called Brigitte Barclay.
Oh yeah.
I love the way they don't say Barclay, they say Barclay. That's a bit of a send up there. But she'd been to that crop circle in Warminster, or not in Warminster, but right beside it.
Yeah,
and that's the whole way that the crop circle thing seems to sort of work. There's these, shall we say, coincidences? Because she interviewed your key, I think one of the first presenter at the event.
Yeah.
Would you want to talk about how that was organised, the showing in the central London?
Well,
that was wonderful venue, fantastic.
Yeah, no, I basically just wanted to do something positive, bring people together to talk about these things. That was my aim.
Well, we're talking about it now. Because you did
I don't particularly want to be the figurehead or anything. And I hate the way American ufology is, and it's so fragmented, and it's all egos and macho kind of thing going on.
Well, I'm afraid I think that the Americans might discount that. It is run by the CIA, and you will love it or lump it. I shouldn't have said that. It's a bloody disgrace.
No, but you are right, though. It's like, which side do you take? Who is spreading the disinformation? Who is telling the truth? I don't know. It's really difficult because I'm friends with Jerry McCall Bell, George Knapp, and those like. But then I'm also speaking to the likes of Dr. Greer, and they're both opposing camps. I don't know. I mean, and it's like I don't want it to be like that in the UK. I want people to come together, pool ideas, thoughts, reasons, evidence, and do it in a British way. that was the idea.
Well, the British way's fallen by the wayside quite a lot, if I might say so.
Sure. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm kind of new to this.
Well, that's what we need. We need new ideas and approaches, and this film is an extremely good way to do it.
Thank you. And the idea with the meetup and the screening was that I've been recently posting on TikTok. My daughter's on TikTok, so she's been showing me how to use it. And it's an untapped market, and there's a lot of interesting people out there. And that's how I met Luke, Interstellar Discussion. He was the guy that went and investigated the crop circles.
He's a young lad.
He is, yeah.
And I have to say, it was really good to see this fresh. I mean, I'm living in the crop circle area. This is Devizes. We've got Stonehenge round the corner.
Yeah, of course,
Don't mention Maria Wheatley and her long skulled book and the forbidden history of Stonehenge. Don't mention that.
Okay.
She might get into trouble with English heritage or whatever. She is in trouble with that. There's nothing like controversy with Stonehenge, but
yeah,
it's interesting to see this new guy coming up, and he did a really good show with Ms. Barclay the next day, I think it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been down there, and he's taken evidence and data, done measurements, and he's come at a fresh approach, and he's looked at the links between solar flare activity and...
Oh, don't bring the solar flares in, or the changing magnetic field, for God's sake.
Oh no, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, he's got a fresh young mind. And the interesting thing about Luke, I don't know if you know, but he actually grew up in Warminster as well, and his father has had experiences there, and so it's kind of all tying in
well,
together.
Peter Paget, to bring another old school guy, a former spy himself, he's published books on it, and published a book called The Welsh Triangle. The Ministry of Defence thought it was such a good book. They really felt that they would assist in the sale of the book by buying up all the copies. They were so keen about the book, so the general public couldn't buy them.
Well, what about Colin? What's his name? Colin Andrews.
Yeah, well, yes, and Carlotta. What's his name in the early days?
But Colin Andrews, he had a book called Government Circles, and you literally can't get it anywhere now. And I've spoken to him recently, and he's getting on a little bit, and he's a really nice guy. But he's told me that he was shut down by the Thatcher government. He was effectively investigating and had some really good scientific data on crop circles and the links between orbs and UFOs. And the Thatcher government had all this information, and they just shut him down. They denied he ever did it, and he wasn't allowed to talk about it. He had to remove stuff off his website.
Wow.
You can't get that book anymore. So, I mean, generally, I'm not one for thinking about cover-ups. So there's definitely a cover-up.
Well, I was involved with a documentary called The Great UFO Cover-Up.
Okay.
Which had the late Max Spears in it. Don't talk about the Max Spears thing.
Sure, yeah.
And it was wonderful that they ended up saying there is no cover-up because there's a cover-up, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, classic.
So, and that's a good documentary. And then, of course, we did the thing before that, the mockumentary that Channel 4 did on the MASH thing with the beautiful Joanne Summerscales, who was also there.
She was, yeah. Lovely to see her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... But yeah, the idea was to kind of bring the UFO community together in the UK.
Well, I think having a thing like that in central London, it's not too many things happen in central London in terms of UFOs, particularly in a really nice venue like that.
I know, and I got really
So how did that happen?
Well, basically, my friend, the actor John Altman, people know from EastEnders, I've just made a film of him, and he's a really nice guy, and he's got an open mind. He came and talked a little bit about UFOs. Basically, I had a meeting with him at that hotel, and he knows the owner, and I got introduced to him. We got on really well. And he said, "Oh, you can use this anytime you want. It's a really good resource."
I mean, do you think you might do future
Oh, absolutely,
events?
yeah, definitely, yeah. So he's
A lot of these events have been pretty dusty. They've been in some university somewhere or town hall or whatever it is.
Oh no, this is just really cool. I mean, it's owned by Iron Maiden, the rock band.
Well, I certainly didn't sample any of their beer. And I didn't take photographic evidence of Colin Woollyford holding a bottle of that beer. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not as if I'm advertising it or anything like that.
But yeah, it's a little hidden away gem, and having a cinema room is great as well. So,
Plus
yeah,
the roof garden at the end of the
I
evening.
know that's really nice as well. So look to do another one sometime soon.
Well, ultimately, how long is the film being available? We're now recording this for Basis News on the 3rd of June, 2025, and that was about 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, how long's it been out, and where is it available? And
Yeah,
also,
it's been out a few months now. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Apple TV. I'm hoping to do a few more cinema screenings around the country because I'm trying to get and make it on DVD.
I think it's very important to try and get the cinema releases to get that into that circuit, and I hope you're able to do that because I think.
Well, this is it. I just get it out a bit more, and it's good doing things in real life and not in virtual life, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to do more of. Because when the things all crash down, we're going to need real life.
Now, what are you talking about there?
I don't know. Just impending doom and all that. But,
solar flares and Elon Musk going to Mars with alien technology in his Raptor 3 engines. And why does he call his engines Raptors? That wouldn't be a hint to alien Draco races running things.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
did I say that?
Maybe not.
Well,
okay,
I'm
thanks,
really great. I think it's a really positive move forward. I mean, there's all sorts of things we could talk about the royal family and God knows what else. But the point is, what you've done is you've pitched it at ordinary people without insulting ordinary people or being superior. That were put your anorak on and your Area 51 security hat and things. I mean, there is that aspect of the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess that's one of my few talents is that I can relate to most people. And what I like doing is going out and meeting people. And I usually wear my King of UFOs T-shirt. And what that does, it allows people to come up to you to tell you their stories. Cause once they know they can talk to you, everyone's got a story. Everyone's had some sort of experience.
And I have to say, that's what we'd hoped to do with a MASH. That was a great idea that the beautiful Joanne came up with. But other factors were involved, so it hit the rocks eventually. But it did. That mockumentary, if I could say, was shot seriously, and a lot of people had a hard time in that. Very, very, very dark things happened in the background we're not going to go into. But it is there as a mockumentary, and it is one way of looking at things in detail, which had not happened on British television before. I don't think it's happened in any other place before. Those were real eyewitnesses with real stories.
Absolutely, yeah.
And real experiences. And, well, that's my little bit of word on that one. But it's great to see this new film. And who knows? Did you walk up and knock on the door? Do you think you might get in and he might say, hello, do come in for a cup of coffee? There's no corgis. They've gone.
Well, I mean, there was someone at the filming that was a close friend of Sir Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, I mean, I'm not...
I don't know what's happened, but I think Parliament were called. I don't know what's going on there, but we won't talk about that.
No, I'm not getting political. But he's passed on a letter that I've done to Sir Keir, and I've heard back that there's someone from the House of Lords that wants to meet up to discuss the issues involved. So I'll let you know.
To be perfectly blunt, the Americans are doing this, and if you saw Elon Musk's little statement to the workers down in Florida, he's talking about launching one hell of a lot of space flights, hundreds, to establish an indigenous city on Mars within this decade.
I know he wants to do that, yeah.
So maybe somebody somewhere is giving them a bit of a bum's rush.
saying you need to get a move on, something's
In
happening.
which case, maybe the king would be a good way of
Sure.
just sitting everybody down and comfortably and saying something.
Yeah, this is a reality. Yeah, that would be good.
So who knows?
Who knows? I know.
Who knows?
Ever hopeful.
Well, maybe
Ever
that's a
hopeful.
good point to leave it.
Yeah, absolutely, Miles.
Thank you
Really
very
enjoyed it.
much. And I really, I mean, if it hadn't been for Colin, he gets me into places that otherwise he's got his finger on the pulse or his pulse on the finger or something.
Yeah, that's really
And
good. I'm really chuffed to be speaking to you.
well,
It's an honour and a privilege. I've really
well,
enjoyed our chat. Thank you.
I think my role is I can say that and they can't possibly comment.
Yeah.
I think that we leave it at that as well.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Miles.
That's really good. Thank you.
Cheers. That's really good. I enjoyed that. Thank
Good.
you.
I did as well. It's good fun. It's good fun, and the entertainment value is important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for that because that just draws people in if it's interesting to watch. That's the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Miles. So we'll keep in touch and
Good. Yeah. Bye bye.
yeah, cheers. Take care. Bye. Bye.